Electric cars have been around for over a century, but they have never really caught on. 咩意思呢？即係話咧，其實電子車即係用電去推動車咧，已經有超過100年嘅歷史啦。A century means 100 years。但係咧 ，they have never really caught on， 即係話咧係一直都未係非常之普及咁嘅意思嘅，即係 means not very popular。However, that may be about to change。咩叫 about to change 咧？即係話就嚟會改變啦。即係話呢一件事情咧可能會改變，我哋遲啲咧就會多啲 electric cars。US car manufacturer Tesla are ready to unveil a new model of electric car that they say is affordable, efficient and effective。咩叫 efficient 咧？即係 that means 係好有效率啦，即係好有效率啦，同埋係好有用咁嘅意思。Unveil 係解乜嘢咧？係解公佈咗一個即係一個消息，就係話乜嘢咧？就係話咧佢嘅新嘅型號咧係好affordable， 即係 that means 係即係幾平咁嘅意思，即係好令人負擔得起啦，有效率啦，同埋係好有用。Will this signal a new era for the industry？ 會唔會係一個新嘅紀元咧？呢一個係解即係會唔會係一個呢啲電子車嘅新嘅一個世代咧？咁好啦，我睇翻第一條問題啦。佢問你 How does Tesla hope to change the electric car industry？ 咁樣咧就係話究竟佢即係希望改變啲乜嘢咧？會寫翻 It hopes to change the electric car industry。好啦，我教過你哋咧，就係逢係如果見到 how 咧，好多時啦都會用個 by 嘅，即係透過咩方法咧？就係 by 乜嘢咧？佢係 unveiling， 即係 by 後邊就要將呢個 unveil 係即係公佈咗，即係用呢個 ing 係啦。By unveiling an electric car that is an electric car that is 咁嗰個咧，頭先我有講啦 ，that is affordable。affordable, efficient and effective。好啦，接住到第二段咯噃，咁即係話咧，以前啲即係電子車就已經存在好耐啦，但係就一直都唔係好普及。咁而家咧嗰個美國嘅一個電子車生產商啦，即係 car manufacturer 啦。呢間公司叫 Tesla 啦，就有一架即係佢話公佈咗一個新嘅車，而呢架車咧就希望會係一個新嘅紀元啦。The question of why electric cars are still unpopular is complex。complex 咧即係 that means 係好複雜啊，即係一啲即係 not simple 咁嘅意思。即係點解電子車係一直都唔普及咧？係唔簡單啦個原因。While in the 1890s and 1900s they were popular， 即係話咧好耐之前啦，差唔多100年前啦，就係曾經普及過㗎。Advances in petrol engine technology meant that sales had dried up by 1930。即係話咧，因為我哋咧就用汽油去推動嘅車咧，係嗰個嘅改善係即係大啲啦，即係 advances 即係佢嗰個嘅即係改善佢哋嗰個嘅機器係能夠可以快啲啦，咁而令到電子車咧嘅 sales had dried up。dried up 咧即係 dry 即係意思係呢個字啊嘛 ，dry 即係乾啦，咁即係話乾咗，咁即係 that means 係冇乜銷售咁嘅意思，即係冇乜人買咯。咁去到1930年咧就冇乜人買啦。Have you ever heard of Elwell Parker Company or the General Vehicle Company? Probably not。嗱，咁好明顯呢一兩間公司咧都係一啲咩嚟㗎？都係一啲咧係electric cars 嘅 manufacturers 咯。都係一啲電子車嘅製造商，因為佢問你有冇聽過呢兩間公司啊？咁你話咧，大部分可能咧都係冇聽過㗎。點解咧？因為去到1930年咧，佢哋嘅 sales had dried up， 即係 that means 咩意思咧？咩叫 sales had dried up 咧？係 means people stopped buying electric cars。係啦，咁 it's 乜嘢咧 ？It means that people stopped buying electric cars， 即係話咧佢哋咧就 dried up， 即係意思乾咗，即係冇人再買，咁即係 sales had dried up， 就係 people stopped buying electric cars。咁呢度咧亦都有條問題問你啦 ，What do you think that the Elwell Parker Company and General Vehicle Company were？ 究竟呢兩間係咩嚟㗎？咁相信佢哋都係一間咩咧？一間乜嘢咧 ？They are an electric car manufacturer， 即係應該係一個電子車嘅製造商啦。manufacturer， 咁你話可以話係 a company that produces electric cars 都得。咁但係咧就用翻 manufacturers 啦，前面書裏邊都有講過話新嘅呢個 Tesla 咧都係一個 car manufacturer 啊嘛，呢個係解製造商啊，咁所以咧就用翻呢個字啦，咁即係呢個咧係電動車嘅製造商。接住第3段咧就話啦呢第2段我哋讀埋先啊。That's because Ford and General Motors took over with their internal combustion engines。咁即係話嗱 ，Ford 你有聽過呢種車啦，同埋 GM 即係General Motors 係美國一間好大嘅車廠，而家都有㗎啦。就 took over 即係攞咗佢哋嗰個嘅 engine 去用咁嘅意思係 took over。咁跟住之後咧就 from then on the booming 咧即係 means growing 咁嘅意思啦，即係話越嚟越多激增，即係好多嘅 popularity and power of petrol cars meant that people could go further and faster than ever before。咁即係話咧，而家咧就即係因為電子車即係用電去推動一架車咧嘅1930年已經係差唔多去到後期啦。咁啲人咧就開始就比較中意係用呢啲汽油推動嘅車啦，即係汽車啦。meant that people could go further， 因為點解咧？佢哋可以去得遠啲啦，亦都可以去得快啲。However, what people did not realize at the time was how much exhaust fumes polluted the environment。咁即係話咧，就係話佢哋當時啲人咧就唔知道咧嗰個嘅廢氣排放咧係會污染個環境嘅。Or indeed 咧即係事實上啦。That the world's oil supplies were running out， 而咧汽油咧呢一個供應咧就係會即係有一日會用完嘅，慢慢係會即係越用係越少嘅。咁條題目問你啦，就係問name one advantage and one disadvantage of the increased popularity of petrol-powered cars in the early 20th century， 即係一個好處同埋一個唔好處啦。咁記住咧就會係佢話呢一度到1930年之後就開始 petrol cars 嘅盛行啊嘛，咁究竟佢嘅好處咧就係當然就係能夠 go further and faster， 咁而唔好處當然就會 pollute the environment 啦。咁即係話 petrol cars 好處同唔好處都喺呢一段裏邊咧都講咗嘅。咁你睇翻啦，咁the advantage is that people could go further， 頭先話可以去遠啲啦 ，and faster 即係可以去得遠啲啦，同埋快啲。But 有啲乜嘢唔好咧？But it also caused pollution， 就會係引致到係有污染嘅，因為咧因為佢頭先講咗咧，就係話即係嗰個咧，佢哋嘅 exhaust fumes， 即係意思係嗰個嘅死氣排放咧，即係用完嗰啲汽油啦，之後噴出嚟嘅死氣咧，係會污染呢個環境。咁所以呢一個咧係一個嘅呢個嘅唔好處就係會 cause the pollution 啦。好啦，接住咧到第4段啦。As the century neared its end， 好啦，去到即係19幾年接近就完結啦，到2000年啦。More and more companies and individuals realized the need to find an alternative to gasoline vehicles as a result of increased awareness of climate change。咁由於佢話佢個唔好處就係污染個環境啊嘛，咁去到即係去19幾年，去到接近尾聲嗰陣時咧，好多公司啦同埋好多個人咧都 realize 即係發現啊，即係佢哋開始知道咧， They knew that the need to find an alternative， 即係咩叫 alternative 咧？係 other ways， 即係另外一啲方法啦，去點樣咧？即係要揾啲嘢去取替呢個 gas guzzling。咩叫 gas guzzling 咧 ？guzzling 係意思係用量好大嘅汽嗰啲嘅汽車。gas guzzling 即係佢哋會用好多嘅汽油啊成。呢一個字本身係解大吃大喝咁嘅意思。guzzling 係解咧係暴飲暴食，得唔得？暴飲暴食狂食嘅意思。咁即係話咧而呢啲呢啲車啦，用用 petrol 嗰啲車咧，係一啲 gas guzzling vehicles， 即係意思佢哋用好多燃油啦。咁就會同埋咧，佢哋咧就開始點樣咧？係 increase awareness of climate change， 即係開始咧注意到 awareness， 即係開始注意到呢一個嘅即係我哋嘅天氣嘅改變啊、溫室效應啊之類。咁佢哋嘅意識高咗，所以佢哋想轉用其他嘅即係代步嘅車，就唔想用汽油，唔想用汽車啦。The desire for innovation was also a factor in this. Factor 啦 means 係 reason。咁點解佢哋想改變咧？就係亦都係 desire for innovation。innovation 咧就係想要一啲革新嘅一啲方法咁嘅意思。Electric cars represent a potential new frontier， 即係意思咧係一個新嘅方法可以取替呢啲 petrol cars 嘅一個方法啦。咁所以咧啲人開始注意到可以用呢個嘅電動車。咁輪到第5題啦。What two things led to a change in attitudes in the late 20th century and how did attitudes change？ 佢問咧，究竟有邊2樣嘢令到個態度改變啦？同埋咧，究竟個態度係改變咗變成有啲乜嘢嘅態度咧？即係佢哋嗰個究竟佢哋想要做啲乜嘢咧？咁你會睇翻咧，究竟邊2樣嘢令到佢個態度改變咧？頭先我都一路睇嗰時一路都間咗㗎啦。咁第一樣嘢咧就係因為they are increased awareness of climate change 啦。第二咧就係 the desire for innovation， 就佢話係另一個原因啊嘛。咁所以一個原因就係對於環境嘅注意到環境嘅改變，同埋第二樣嘢咧就想有啲創新啲嘅一啲嘅交通工具啦。咁呢一樣嘢，呢2個原因咧都係令到佢哋嘅態度改變嘅。而態度改變係點變咧？就係佢哋咧對於電子車咧係比較 positive 啦。佢哋覺得係一個可以代替 petrol cars 嘅一種車或者一個方法。咁所以你會點答咧？就會係increased， 你會寫個原因先啦。increased awareness of climate change and the desire for innovation led， 咁啊照抄翻呢一個啦。led to a change in attitudes in the late 20th century。咁就係呢一個嘅呢2樣嘢就令到佢嘅改變啦。注意環境改變啦，同埋咧就想要一啲創新嘅嘢。咁另外究竟點樣變咧？就係你會咧就會見到係佢哋咧they have more positive attitude towards electric cars， 即係對呢一個電子車咧就係開始有啲比較正面啲嘅態度啦。即係就會覺得佢哋係可以用嚟代替呢一個嘅 petrol cars。Brings us to Tesla, the company founded in 2003 to make electric cars which are commercially successful and beautiful to look at, as well as was environmentally friendly。咁樣呢個係講咗咧就係乜嘢咧 ？Tesla 頭先我哋去翻一開始咪話 Tesla 咧呢間即係電子車製造商係有一個新嘅計劃啊嘛，係咪？咁輪到而家現在到2003年嗰陣時就話呢一間公司就成立啊 ，found 係成立嘅意思。 跟住之後咧，就佢哋做電子車啦，然後有啲乜嘢特別咧？係 commercially successful and beautiful to look at，即係話咧係商業上成功，亦都係即係揸上嚟，你覺得個車好靚嘅。咁仲兼且係 environmentally friendly，即係好環保。What this means is that people who buy Tesla vehicles get the satisfaction of saving the planet and a cool stylish vehicle too。即係話唔單止可以拯救地球，仲可以咧，仲係好型，即係嗰架車咧係好靚。Until now, Teslas have been very expensive, which is why the affordability of their latest model could signal a new era for electric cars。即係話咧。其實點解唔普及咧 ？Teslas 咧係因為係好貴架車，咁所以咧 affordability 即係話嗰個嘅購買力啊，即係話如果你之後而家佢最新嗰個型號嗰個嘅價錢係能夠減低嘅話咧，就可以標誌住一個新嘅即係電子車嘅一個新嘅朝代嚟啦。就意思就係話其實係好型啦架車，亦都係非常之環保啦。但係而家最大嘅問題咧就係最主要係太貴。咁我哋睇翻呢個最尾嗰條問題啦。Why would people buy Tesla electric cars 啦？點解咧？咁give two contrasting reasons 就係佢哋係有邊兩個即係唔同嘅原因，唔好想兩個原因都一樣啦。咁第一個原因就係 it can save the planet， 同埋咧it is also cool， it is a cool stylish vehicle。咁睇下點答啦。就this is because It can cars 佢因為佢係講呢個 cars 啦，咁 because 咧buying Tesla electric cars can save the planet， 即係話咧係可以拯救個地球啦，因為可以就減少嗰個嘅廢氣排放啦 ，and they are cool to look at， 即係話咧佢哋係 cool， 即係好型啊，好 stylish 咁樣嘅意思，亦都可以用 stylish 咯。好啦，接住啦，到下一個閱讀理解啦，就係fashion design competition。咁呢度咧佢就會講咗咧，就係話Joe's Rags, the trendiest chain of clothes shops in Hong Kong, is holding its first ever fashion design competition for young people。即係話舉行咗一個嘅時裝設計比賽啦。We want you to design an Oscar dress suitable for glamorous Hollywood stars on the red carpet. There are two categories。即係話咧，就上啲年青人咧去設計一啲即係奧斯卡嘅即係可以俾人咧去嗰個奧斯卡頒獎典禮嘅一條裙啊。咁跟住之後咧就會係適合啲荷里活影星啦。咁有兩個 categories， 即係兩個組別。第一個組別就係 A 啦，14至16歲啦，而 B 咧就17至18歲嘅。咁佢就話咧係please hand in your design on one sheet of A4 paper along with a paragraph explaining the thought behind it。即係話你嗰個時裝設計嗰件設計咧係要用 A4 紙啦，兼且就要解釋咗點解嗰個設計嘅背後嗰個嘅 idea 咁嘅意思。The competition is enormous。enormous 係解匿名咁嘅意思啊，即係話咧係唔披露姓名嘅，就唔可以將你個名咧寫落條裙嗰一邊度啊之類咁樣。So also enclose a sealed envelope containing your name and address。即係要 enclose 咧要附上啦，即係 means 一定要加一個 sealed， 即係意思係 means 係已經封好咗嘅信封啦，包括你嘅名同你嘅地址。Entries should be submitted at any one of the 3 Joe's Rags in Hong Kong before closing time on Saturday 4th of June。They must be delivered in person， 一定要親身交嘅喎。咁而 grand prize 咧就係 A 就1萬啦。其實好奇怪嘅喎，14至16歲就高獎品高嗰個係高，即係個價錢係高啲。跟住 category B 咧就係5000。Second prize 啦 A 同 B 就各樣1000啦。而third prize 就係 A 同 B 都係個人有5000。咁好啦，咁跟住之後咧，你會睇到嗰個交嗰個嘅地方，佢哋開放嘅時間啦，就係 就係呢個9點至5點啦。呢、一個九龍嗰個咧就係呢度星期六就會9點至8點啦。到 North 跟住之後咧，呢、個 Castle Peak Road 咧就會係呢一個咧就9點至6點嘅，呢一個係一星期五。咁好啦，睇一睇啦。Jane is 16 years old. What is the maximum amount of she can win by entering the competition？ 即係話最多佢可以係16歲啊嘛，最多可以贏到幾多錢呢？你會見到呢一個咧就係佢係 Category A 啦，所以最多咧係1萬蚊嘅。咁然後咧 ，Should Jane write her name on her design？ 頭先我哋都講過啦，佢話 the competition is enormous 係匿名嘅，係唔可以講個名嘅。咁所以咧就係 no she shouldn't。咁你留意得到咧，呢一度咧就係一個叫你 short answer，所以咧你係用 no she shouldn't 咁就夠噶啦。但係亦都唔可以淨係寫 no 嘅喎。咁你接住咧就 why or why not 咧，你就要寫翻啦。就係唔需要寫 this is because 啦，因為 short answer the competition is enormous，即係話咧係匿名嘅，即係唔可以不具名，唔可以披露姓名。第三啦 ，How much more time will Jane have to submit her design if she goes to Joe Rex Kowloon instead of Joe Rex Central？ 咁你會見到咧，佢話咧就要可以多幾多時間咧？咁你會見到佢平時星期六咧就係5點鐘噶嘛，但係咧就 Kowloon 就星期六咧就可以去到8點。咁即係話咧，你見到佢係星期六交嘅，所以咧就星期六嗰個咧係可以多3個鐘啦。咁就係3 more hours。What should Jane do if she wants to find out more about the terms and conditions？ 即係啲條款細則啊 of the competition。How can she do this？ 咁究竟佢點樣可以即係揾多啲嘅資料咧？咁你會見到咧，佢就係話 If you have any questions 就應該係點樣咧 ？Contact their head of marketing Hannah by calling 9876-123-1234啦，or emailing marketing@joerex.com。咁所以就係寫翻呢個落去就 OK 啦。OK，contact Hannah Low by calling or emailing。嗱，咁點解要 emailing 咧？因為 by calling 啊嘛，咁就係 emailing 一個嗰個地址啦，就係 marketing 咧係解即係意思推銷咁嘅意思啊，推廣嗰個部門啦 joerex.com。What is the total amount of prize money on offer？ 即係究竟呢個主辦機構要 total 俾幾多錢出嚟啦？咁呢度佢睇翻啦，嗱 A 就1萬啦 ，B 就5000啦，而 second prize A 同 B 各每組有1000啊嘛，即係 total 係2000啦。咁呢一個 A 同 B 咧就係每一組就有500，即係夾埋係1000啦。咁所以1萬加5000再加2000再加1000咧 ，total 咧就會應該係18000啦。即係 total 呢間公司咧就要俾出18000蚊咧，去俾所有嘅參賽者睇下佢邊個攞獎啦。接住到 preposition 啦 ，When he was a small boy, Harry wanted to design clothes for rich and famous people。即係話佢一直啦，呢個 Harry 就一直都已經想設計啲衫俾人着噶啦。He had a sketchbook in which 喺裏邊啦 ，he would draw all the designs that he thought of。And it was filled with all kinds of designs from suits to 你會見到啦，即係由啲西裝啦、hats 啦 to dresses and shoes all through school。即係話咧喺一直讀書嗰個階段咧 ，everyone had told Harry that he was very talented and that he should get into the fashion industry， 即係話應該咧係要入呢個時裝界嘅。OK，when he was older. However, when he left school, he could not get onto a course at a good fashion college, and so now he works in 或者 at 或者 for 都得。For a clothes shop, Harry still wanted to achieve his dream of being a designer, and he hoped that one day and people would say, "Look, that coat was designed by Harry Whittaker." 好啦，呢一度咧就係講佢話佢好想設計件衫啦。咁接住呢一段嘞噃，就係 relative pronouns 啦。咁就講 Harry 做乜嘢咧 ？One day Harry was walking to the shop in which he worked， 即係喺嗰度咧，佢喺嗰度工作啦。In which he worked when he recognized a man on the street， 喺嗰陣時咧，佢就即係認得有個男人啦。It took Harry a little while to remember how he knew the man， 即係佢話佢認得佢，但係佢唔記得啊，佢要一段時間先記得佢點解識嗰個人啊。呢個人啊嘛，咁所以呢一個咧就係 who was actually his old art teacher at school， 原來係佢學校嘅即係教畫畫嗰位老師。He was called Ian and had always believed that Harry would be a fashion designer。即係話咧，佢以前嘅即係畫畫個老師就覺得佢好有天分，覺得佢應該要成為一個時裝設計師啦。Indeed, Ian's classroom was 乜嘢 Harry had spent most of his free time at school。佢嘅即係話 Ian 嘅班房咧，就係喺邊度咧 ？Was where Harry had spent most of his free time at school。即係喺嗰度咧，佢度過咗佢好多嘅時間。嗱，咁如果有啲學生係成日嘗試話覺得 which 嘅話咧，你試下問自己就係 where had 應該係 where had Harry spent most of his free time at school， 就唔會係 which had Harry spent， 得唔得？其實條問題你試下將呢一個咧呢一句 form 一個問題嘅話咧，你就會知道呢一個係一定係 where 㗎啦，即係究竟 Harry 喺邊度逗留得最多時間咧？接住啦 ，Harry 乜嘢 speech was normally very quiet, suddenly shouted， 即係話 Harry 平時咧就好溫文、好細聲講嘢嘅，但係咧嗰日就大叫啦 ，Ian is me Harry 咁樣。咁 whose speech 呢個就肯定應該係啱㗎啦，因為佢嘅言論即係佢講嘢咧係一般都好細聲嘅。咁我嗰日就對住老師就好大聲咁講啦。跟住 Ian wondered 係邊個嘅把聲咧 ？Whose voice it was？ It was turned around and saw Harry. The boy 第7啦 ，the boy who he remembered as being very talented at design， 即係話咧佢係好有，即係佢話佢記得嗰個佢嘅舊學生 Harry 啦，而佢記得佢咧係好即係好有天分嘅。Hello Harry, he said. I haven't seen you for a long time. 跟住佢就問啦，乜嘢 fashion college did you go to in the end？ 即係究竟你最尾去咗邊一間嘅時裝學院啊？咁就問佢 which 啦，應該都係邊一間啊 ？Harry 乜嘢 felt suddenly ashamed, replied that he had not got into any of the colleges he wanted and that he was working in a clothes shop in town。原來咧，咁佢就覺得自己好慚愧啦。咁佢就 Harry 就 who felt suddenly ashamed， 即係覺得自己好即係覺得好臭啦。咁就話自己原來係入唔到啲即係一啲嘅專上學院去學時裝設計，就反而喺啲時裝店度做嘢啦。第10啦 ，Ian who was always very positive， 咁呢個老師就好即係好 positive， 好 optimistic， 好即係好樂觀啦。咁就話啦 ，You won't be working there for long. I believe you will be a designer very soon。咁就即係好正面就話佢咧，即係應該係會好快就成為一個時裝設計師嘅，即係有機會。接住到 passive voice 呢個 session 啦，咁 Harry 就見到佢老師啦。頭先我哋講到，咁 Harry did not believe Ian when he said that Harry would be a designer. I 乜嘢咧 ？Any good opportunities in life, he said, and I 乜嘢 by anyone as a designer because I have no qualifications。咁即係話咧，佢自己好灰，咁自己就講話啦，即係人哋一直都冇俾機會我喎，即係 so far 都冇喎，所以係 I have not been given， 即係話咧，人哋一直都冇俾機會我啦，而我咧亦都將唔會俾人哋請，因為我係冇一個即係嘅學歷啊。I will not be employed， 即係我係唔會俾人請，即係請做設計師，因為根本都冇學歷。Ian said that Harry had a bad attitude because people 乜嘢 opportunities for free。呢一個咧就係話佢認為咧人咧就一般唔會俾一啲人即係機會嘅，就免費就咁俾機會嘅。咁呢個係一個 general fact 啦，一般嚟講或者係一個 opinion 啦，可以咁講話。咁所以咧呢一個咧就會係people are not given opportunities for free, they have to make them themselves。即係話咧要製造機會咯，自己要。Harry said, if I do not go to work at the shop soon, 即係佢話咧，如果我唔返工咧，我就將會俾人炒噶啦。I will be fired， 因為呢個有個 if 啊嘛，就會 will be fired from my job. When I was at school, 即係當我讀緊書嗰陣時，人哋話俾我聽啦 I was told that I could be a fashion designer, and 跟住人哋又教我啦 I was taught that I could fulfill all my dreams, but 乜嘢咧？我係被人所呃啦，呢個係 I was lied。即係話啦，呢度3個啦，即係5、6、7題咧，都係關乎呢一句 When I was at school， 即係都係一個過去發生嘅事情。咁就係話俾老師呃啦 I was lied by the teachers because now I work in a shop。因為以前讀書嗰陣時咧，佢老師就話佢會有可能即係做到 designer， 但係而家只係喺一間鋪頭度即係做售貨員啦。Ian said that he 乜嘢 at school because he wanted to teach art。咁嗰陣時咧，佢話佢想要教藝術啦，咁跟住咧佢就俾人哋蝦啦。咁嗱，佢話佢要啦，但係咧你會見到 he said that 佢之前即係佢復述呢件事嘅之前就已經俾人哋蝦啦嘛，咁所以咧就係 had been bullied。明唔明到啊？因為咧，你會複述句好多時，複述句咧，你見到 said that 咧後邊呢一個咧都會係一個 past perfect 嘅，因為咧一定係呢件事係先發生，然後咧跟住之後咧先至會有人去複述噶嘛。咁你複述一件之前發生嘅事情係好正常嘅。咁所以咧 said that 咧嘅後邊嗰個動詞咧好多時都會係一個 past perfect tense。跟住接住啦，你會見到 and 啦，咁都係依然係一個複述啦，咁所以咧就係 had been forbidden。記住 forbid 嘅 past participle 就係 forbidden。and had been forbidden from going to art college by his parents， 即係話父母咧，即係佢複述翻話父母之前唔俾佢讀即係嗰啲藝術學院。However, he 乜嘢 by a teacher who thought he could fulfill his dreams. Now Ian said he wanted to give Harry the same help that he had received。咁樣咧就係話佢Ian 就講過話咧，佢之前都係一樣係即係俾人蝦，就因為佢話想要教畫畫，跟住之後咧父母又唔俾佢去讀呢個 art college。咁 however 咧佢係曾經之前係俾人哋啟發過。咁呢個 Ian 係老師嚟㗎嘛，咁所以 had been inspired， 即係回想佢喺當時之前俾人哋啟發，咁所以咧就 had been inspired by a teacher who thought he could fulfill his dreams。即係話 Ian 咧都話佢自己曾經之前係俾人哋即係啟發過，咁而家咧佢就即係能夠終於實現佢嘅夢想去教畫畫。佢而家係喺即係佢係教畫畫嘅，佢而家咁係頭先我都講過佢係教阿 Harry 嘅畫畫，跟住之後覺得 Harry 好有天分。咁見到呢3個咧都會係 past perfect passive 啦。點解咧？都係因為係複述翻一件事咯。咁就複述翻佢之前係俾人蝦，複述佢之前父母唔俾佢讀書，亦都複述翻佢之前咧係俾人哋啟發去做一件事情。好啦，接住到 reporter speech 啦，咁你會見到啦，呢一度佢就話 It's nice to see you again, Harry, Ian said。咁樣咧，咁佢就係啦，咁呢度咧就會複述翻咧，就會係 Ian said that it， 咁呢個本身係 is 啦，咁你就會變咗 was 啦。Nice to see 邊個咧 ？To see him, to see Harry again。呢一個 him 咧，呢個 you 你就變咗 Harry 啦。或者咧可以係話 Ian said that it was， 應該係 Harry told Harry that it was nice to see him again。係啦，將個呢一個 Harry 咧係將佢咧就係褪前就用 told。 咁跟住之後咧，而呢一個咧就會係一係就將呢一個 you 咧就變咗做 Harry， 咁都得。How was work today? Ian asked Harry。咁樣咧就會 Ian 呢個咧係應該係點樣咧 ？Ian asked Harry， 因為呢個係一個問題啦。How work？OK， 呢個係 was 係過去式啦，就會轉咗 had 變啦。Today 就係 that day。Ian asked Harry how work had been that day。咁你會見到咧，就係本身咧就係 was， 所以就轉咗 had been， 而呢個 is 咧就轉咗做 was 啦。OK， 咁所以咧你會見到都係it was 㗎。好啦，到呢一度啦。Work was boring as usual. I hope I don't have to work there and much longer。咁呢個 Harry 復述翻啦。Harry said that work。好啦，呢一個咧可以用翻 was 或者係 had been 嘅。因為咧係講緊佢一直都係啊嘛 ，had been boring as usual。跟住咧呢度兩句啦，跟住你會 and he hoped that he didn't have to work there much longer。咁你會見到咧佢個轉變咧就係work 呢個 was 可以剩翻 was 或者 had been啦。咁呢個 hope 咧就會轉咗 hoped 啦。咁跟住之後咧就呢個 don't 咧就會轉咗 didn't 啦。係啦，係咁多啦。咁另外下一個啦 ，You can be a fashion designer tomorrow, Harry. You must stay at the clothes shop for a little while。咁Ian 就講啦。咁呢個 Ian said that 呢個咧就會係 Harry。跟住 can 咧就會係寫翻做 could 啦 ，could be a fashion designer tomorrow 咧 the next day。and 咁呢度兩句你就加翻個 and 啦 ，he must 咧就應該係轉 had to stay at the clothes shop for a little while， 即係話咧係留喺間鋪頭做多啲嘅時間啦，之後咧就會係可以做一個 fashion designer 啦。咁呢個 can be 咧就變咗 could be 啦。咁另外咧就會 tomorrow 你會轉咗做 the next day 啦。must 咧係轉 had to， 但係都可以寫翻係 must 嘅，因為咧呢一個係唔係一定要轉嘅。咁跟住其餘嗰啲就唔需要轉啦。好啦 ，I had a dream last night. Harry said。咁 Harry said that he had a dream the night before。跟住之後咧喺個夢，即係發夢即係佢話之前發咗個夢啊。咁你會見到咧，亦都係啦 ，past tense 啦就轉做 past perfect。咁 last night 咧就轉咗 the night before。好啦，到 Did you read the foreword of that book I gave you yesterday? Ian asked Harry. Ian asked Harry。好啦，呢一個因為呢一個係一個 yes no question 啦，你要加個 if 啦。If he 咁記住咧，如果逢係 did 咧，你都唔會寫翻落去㗎。咁if he had read the foreword of that book he had given him the day before。好啦，呢一度咧個轉變咧就會係主要係乜嘢咧？就係你會見到呢一個係一個 yes no question 啦。咁跟住咧你就會加翻個 if 啦。咁你會見到呢個 did 咧其實係唔會寫翻落去㗎啦。咁呢個 read 係過去式咧就會轉咗做 had read。gave 咧就轉做 had given。yesterday 咧就轉 the day before。好啦，到呢一個啦 ，the foreword was very useful because it has great advice。咁你就會 Harry said that the foreword， 好啦 ，was 就變咗係 had been 啦 ，very useful。跟住之後咧，你就寫 because it had great advice。咁呢一度咧，你會見到咧就係只係即係一般嘅，只係 set 就加咗 set that 啦 ，the foreword was 咧就變咗係 had been 啦。用 was 都可以嘅喺呢一個位。咁跟住之後咧，就亦都係呢一個 has 咧就轉咗做 had great advice。咁你複述句，所以咧就騰咗做 past tense 啦。You are very talented at drawing and design, Ian told Harry. Ian told Harry that 啦，he was very talented。你只係需要轉咗一個 past tense at drawing and design。 咁你會見到咧就係一樣咧，就係呢一個 are 咧就轉咗做 was。好啦 ，I was talking to a friend of mine who worked in the fashion industry this morning, said Ian。咁樣呢度咧就話 Ian said that he was 啦。嗱，呢個 was 係可以用翻 was talking 啦，或者係 have been talking 都得。To a friend of him who worked in the fashion industry。This 就轉 that morning。咁呢一個咧 worked 啦，或者係 had worked 都得嘅。咁其實呢度兩個咧都係可以轉可以唔轉啦。你會見到 was talking 咧係可以轉翻 was talking 嘅，或者係 had been talking。咁 mine 就轉咗 him 啦，跟住然後worked 咧就轉做 had worked 或者係留翻係 work 啦。This 就要轉 that。That sounds great, said Harry。咁呢個咧就 Harry said that that sounded great。係啦，咁其實咧個重複個 that 或者一個 that 都得嘅。好啦，接住咧就輪到呢一個 adjectives、adverbs 同埋 comparatives 啦。Harry had been feeling very depressed, but now he was 乜嘢咧？He was 啦，因為你要將佢轉 adjective 啊嘛。He was hopeful， 而家變得好有希望啦。That he could fulfill his dream。呢度見到有個 than 啦 ，he was more excited than ever as he went with Ian to meet Ian's friend. However, Ian said that Harry should introduce himself calmly， 即係要好冷靜咁樣去介紹自己啦。Because first impressions were always very important. Ian's friend was called Sophia, and they met her in the 呢個好潮嘅地方啦，就叫 trendy 啦。Trendy area of the town. At first, Harry felt not at all at home because the cool bars and cafes. He was not comfortable， 即係覺得唔係好舒服喺呢啲咁樣嘅環境啦。However, he was soon walked confidently， 即係後尾咧好快脆適應咗之後咧，就好有信心地啦 confidently down the streets。If he became fame 咧，即係名氣啦，但係呢個咧形容詞就要係 famous。A famous designer, he would be in these cool places a lot。好啦，輪到 conditional 啦，輪到 conditional 咧就會睇睇呢一個啦。The meeting was a big success, and Sophia said that she wanted to see Harry in her office. Ian said to Harry that if she wanted to talk in her office, she 乜嘢即係話呢度見到 if 啦 ，if she wanted to talk in her office, she would want to talk about business。即係話如果要去佢 office 講咧，就會係一個認真嘅，即係認真嘅好似 interview 咁嘅意思，即係 talk about business， 即係認真啊，即係 serious 咁嘅意思啦。咁呢個係 conditional one 啦，即係話呢個 conditional two 啊，即係假設如果佢真係想喺佢個 office 咧，就係認真噶啦。咁so he was very excited. In the cafe, Sophia had also said that if Harry had come to her after fashion college, he 嗱呢一度你見到又係 if 啦 ，had come， 所以你知道呢一個係 conditional three 啦。Had come to her after fashion college, she would have offered， 即係話咧就會已經即刻就俾咗一個 job 佢，但係因為佢冇，其實頭先就講過佢冇讀過時裝，即係 fashion college 一啲設計時裝嘅學院啦，所以佢就冇俾份工佢嘅即刻 instantly 即刻俾佢咁嘅意思。It made Harry sad that he had not gone to fashion college, but then Sophia had said that if he came to her office, then if he came to her office, then he 乜嘢咧就會可以同佢個 boss 開個，即係可以去有個面試啦。If he came to her office, then he would give an interview with her boss， 即係話假設如果佢嚟咧，就會俾一個即係同佢嘅老細去面試。If my boss likes you, she said, he 好啦，呢一個咧就會係啦 ，he will hire you as a junior designer， 就會聘請佢啦。If I want to make a good impression, said Harry to himself。好啦，呢個咧你會見到 want 啦，所以 conditional one 啦。I 乜嘢啊 ？I would need to make sure that I'm friendly, respectful and smartly dressed。咁呢個咧 conditional one wants 啦，所以咧就會 I will need to make sure that I'm friendly, respectful and smartly dressed。即係話佢要見工就要着得醒目啲。咁仲有一句啦 ，If Harry had been told on Thursday afternoon that he would be standing in the office of a fashion designer。好啦，如果佢人哋之前話俾佢聽咧，佢就唔可能相信嘅。OK，would not have believed， 因為 conditional three 啊嘛，即係佢會覺得係唔可能相信一件事。好啦，又係 if 啦 ，if you have an interview。said Ian，I 呢個 have 係一個 conditional one 啦，話俾你聽。I will not come in， 即係佢將唔會 will not come in。Because Sophia's boss will not want me there. I will meet you afterwards. Harry thanked Ian。好啦 ，if he had not met Ian the previous day, he 乜嘢 in the clothes shop at that very moment。呢一個咧係 conditional three， 因為咧如果佢唔係見到佢咧，就依然而家喺個鋪頭度啦，但係佢而家唔喺個鋪頭度啊嘛。would have worked 應該係 would have 加 have 再加 worked。would have worked in the clothes shop at that very moment。呢個係 conditional three 啦。如果對於呢啲conditionals 係唔係太熟悉嘅咧，可能要睇翻之前幾堂嘅嗰啲 video 去温一温呢啲 conditional 究竟幾時係 conditional three 啦，同埋究竟個 conditional three 咧係應該係要點樣去即係 form 啦。例如要 would have 再加個 PPT。好啦，到 tenses 啦呢一個。While Harry waited to see Sophia's boss, he 乜嘢 because he was so nervous， 即係當佢喺度等緊嗰陣時咧 he was shaking because he was so nervous。你見到 while 啊嘛，咁所以喺度震。咁接住咧 he still couldn't believe that he had an opportunity to become a fashion designer。即係佢唔可以相信自己竟然有機會去面試，有機會成為一個時裝設計師啦。He tried 當然係要 to 啦 ，to choose his best designs to show to Sophia's boss。He chose a design for a coat that he 嗱呢個見到 before 啦，當然係之前畫啦 had drawn。6 months before while he was on holiday in the mountains。It was covered with fur， 因為佢講緊係之前啦，咁當時咧係 was covered， 即係佈滿咗，即係充滿用啲 fur 去設計嘅一啲衫啦。But Harry had designed it to be a nice shape as well as to be warm in the coldest weather. Finally, Harry went into the room and 第五啦，係被人介紹，因為自己介紹啦。佢係 Harry went into the room and 佢自己介紹自己，咁所以就係用翻過去式就得啦。Introduced himself to the boss who was called Florence， 原來係叫做 Florence was called。She said Sophia 係啦，佢話俾我聽啦，即係已經話咗啲嘢俾我聽啦。Has told me all about you, Harry, but over next 6:45 minutes。即係話下45分鐘啦，接住個45分鐘啦，我將會問你一啲問題。I will ask you a few questions about yourself as well. By the end, the interview was more like a friendly chat. Harry told Florence that when he first started drawing, he 係啦，佢先畫畫嗰陣時咧，係之前咧係 he got， 你會見到過去式啦，咁呢個都係過去式。或者話佢之前係得到係 had got inspiration from old 1930s films。At the end, Florence thanked Harry。佢話 later 啊嘛，咁佢話 I 因為亦都係對話之內咧，所以就會 I will phone you in later in the week so we can meet again。Harry thought that sound very promising， 即係覺得咧，佢話佢應承會打電話俾佢啦，所以覺得咧都好大機會啦。Harry looked for Ian so he could tell him all about What had happened？ 咁呢一個咧就會係即係之前發生嘅嘢啦，所以唔需要加 article 嘅。He found him waiting outside Sophia's office， 即係話咧就亦都唔需要啦，又唔需要指明啊或者之類。Harry told him that although he had been nervous to start with, he had quickly found that Florence, which he explained was the name of Sophia's boss， 即係話 Sophia 嘅老細個名就叫 Florence 啦 ，was very friendly and liked Harry's drawings a lot. He also told Ian that Florence was going to phone him later in the week， 即係呢個禮拜嘅後期 ，and he hoped that she would offer him a job， 即係會俾份工佢，等佢唔使喺啲時裝店度就賣衫啦。Ian told Harry not to get too excited， 即係唔好話太興奮啦，可能佢根本係冇工啦。It was likely that Harry would have to do difficult and dull jobs before he could design， 即係話咧，即係話唔好太興奮，就算人哋請你，你可能要做一啲好悶嘅嘢，先至可以真正設計你自己嘅衫啦。Before he could design， 第七 clothes that would actually be made。It would probably take many years for Harry to become a designer， 即係會成為一個設計師。But if waiting was not 呢個 I 字頭啦，所以係 an issue，then Harry was on the road to fulfilling the dream that he had had since he was a child. For the rest of the week, Harry waited for Florence to call。咁因為頭先佢就 Florence 話應承佢會打電話俾佢，咁所以佢就好緊張啦。咁就一直喺度等佢電話啦。He couldn't sleep when he was in bed， 即係當佢喺床上面咧就瞓唔着啦。And 跟住之後結果咧就會令到佢好攰啦，上翻工嗰陣時 ，and therefore 或者 so 都得。OK，therefore 或者 so 都得。He was tired at work. His boss at the clothes shop got angry with him， 因為佢好冇禮貌咯。Because Harry was rude to customers. Harry's boss said that he behaved properly, he would lose his job。咁即係警告話會炒佢魷魚啦，就係除非啦 ，unless he behaved properly, he would lose his job。第五啦 ，but Harry didn't mind because he was sure he would get a job at Florence's company。即係但係咧，佢就唔 care， 因為咧佢知道佢自己會呢次面試係會成功嘅。Finally, Florence called and Harry was very happy。咁即係 Florence 就即係應承佢打電話就真係有打啦。咁接住第六題啦。However, she said she could not give him a job。咁好啦，非常之失望咧，就係話其實係唔請佢嘅，但係咧佢話佢唔可以俾份工佢 ，could not give him a job。Harry was devastated until she said that instead her company would pay for him to go to fashion college。咁即係話咧，佢就好沮喪啦 ，devastated 即係好沮喪。咁但係咧，就佢突然間就講話咧，就 instead 咧取而代之咧，就係話乜嘢咧？佢會幫佢俾錢佢去讀呢一個嘅時裝學院。She said that because Harry had not got any qualifications, since he had left school, he could work for her。好啦，呢個係啦，即係佢離開學校之後就冇其他嘅學歷啦。咁he could not work for her， 即係話冇一啲即係一啲讀時裝嘅即係各方面嘅知識啦，或者嘅經驗，佢就唔可以幫佢做嘢。乜嘢 ？She would make sure he did well at college and get his qualifications。咁跟住之後咧，就所以佢要咁做啦，就 so she would make sure he did well at college， 即係所以佢要 make sure 佢要讀，即係讀咗一個學院啦，然後攞咗佢嘅資格啦，然後咧之後咧頂咧，即係頂咧呢一個啦，就會去可以頂 he could finally work at his company。即係話佢俾錢佢去讀時裝學院，然後咧佢攞咗個學歷之後咧，佢就可以最終咧就佢會即係被呢間公司所聘請。Harry told Ian， 即係話俾佢老師聽啦 ，who was so happy for him。Just as Ian had fulfilled his dream, he had helped Harry to fulfill his too。咁 Ian 之前咪提及過話佢都係一樣係即係好沮喪，因為唔成功。咁後尾就有人幫助。咁 Ian 咧 亦都係 fulfill 咗佢個 dream 佢教藝術啊嘛喺學校，咁佢就幫阿 Ian 咧，咪幫阿 Harry 咧都係 fulfill 咗佢呢個想成為時裝設計師嘅一個夢想啦。